think about it, your average gun is really rather boring, isn't it? Oh, look at me, I'm a gun, I can make big holes in things. Yawn. In video games, however, you aren't limited to a boring old Smith & Wesson that just fires bullets. No, sir. A weapon that fires exploding chickens? It's yours. A gun shaped like a novelty foam hand? Here you go, child of mine. Or how about a firearm that turns your enemies into sheep? You got it, it's yours, here it is. For this list, we're taking a look at some of the coolest guns in video game history. A few ground rules before we start. Firstly, as long as a weapon is gun adjacent, i.e. it has a trigger and fires at least one projectile, it's eligible for this list. We won't be including anything akin to a crossbow or flamethrowers because, well, they're just not guns, are they?
Anything we can do about that heat?
Rick, it's a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Also, if you're looking for Squall's Gunblade, you'll find it in our list of the 10 coolest swords in video game history. We've decided it's a sword, not a gun, and what we say goes. So, yeah. With all that out of the way, I'm Ashton from Triple Jump, and here are the 10 coolest video game guns. Number 10, Ray Gun, Call of Duty series. Ever since it first made its appearance in 2008's Call of Duty World at War, the zombie mode has been a favourite of COD fans all over the world, and perhaps its most noteworthy weapon is the ray gun. One of the Wonder Weapons, a series of fictitious armaments that exist within the zombie universe, the ray gun is a pistol-style handgun that fires plasma rays capable of obliterating even the feistiest of undead chompy boys. Arguably the most sought-after weapon in the zombies mode, the ray gun is highly powerful, and is capable of taking out your aggressors in one shot for the first 20 or so levels. This is highly convenient if the gits are stubbornly refusing to drop max ammo or insta-kill perks. In later games, namely Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 3 and 4, the ray gun got a serious upgrade, with the Mark II dealing almost 22 times damage when taking headshots. This means if you're lucky enough to get your hands on one, and you've got a decent enough aim of course, that you might be able to power your way through the first 70 levels without so much as breaking a sweat. Number 9, Rhino 5, Ratchet & Clank A Crack in Time. When a weapon is bestowed with a name as direct as rip yet a new one, as is the case with Ratchet & Clank's Rhino series of weapons, then you know you're going in for a cracking time.
Oh, you stink!
Described by the game as the deadliest weapon in the known universe, the Rhino 5 packs a serious punch, though it's certainly not the easiest gun in the crack of time to obtain, with the players having to find 10 pieces of holoplan in order to get their hands on one, though it is by far the coolest. Upon pulling the trigger, players will find that the Rhino 5 is able to shower enemies in hails of bullets in mere seconds. Every so often, it also fires a highly destructive missile capable of blowing your adversaries to kingdom come. This might not sound all that impressive, however the speed at which it can mow down enemies is somewhat awe-inspiring. Oh, and did we mention that it causes all of this destruction to the tune of Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture? You know, the epic piece of music that goes... Yeah, that one. You know?
Yeah.
Number 8, BFG 9000, Doom series. When you're faced with legions of Hellspawn, as our good friend Doom Guy so often is, then you need a very large weapon capable of dealing a very large amount of damage. A big flipping gun, if you will. A staple of the Doom series and considered to be the most powerful weapon available, the BFG 9000 is a massive futuristic looking gun that fires great green plasma orbs at its targets. Not only does the main projectile cause a staggering amount of devastation to foes, causing their blood and fatty tissue to boil and the subject to explode, but it also emits a number of rays that ensure even the most agile of adversaries will struggle to escape unscathed. The BFG 9000 has featured in almost every main Doom game since the OG MS-DOS title, and while it's seen a number of cosmetic changes, by and large its function has remained the same.
You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Titan!
An amped up version of the BFG was included in Doom 3, in which players could charge their shots to maximise damage to their opponents. This was a bit of a double-edged sword, however, as overcharging it would cause it to unleash its mighty damage on the player instead of the enemies. I hate it when that happens. Makes your blood boil, doesn't it? Number 7, Experimental MIRV, Fallout 3. In a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by nuclear war, you might think that those that remain would be less than cool with unleashing further radioactive destruction. It turns out, you'd be wrong.
You're joking. Not another one?
And not only are large nuclear warheads still a very real concern, but so too are nutters running around with mini nukes. Yes indeed, for the low price of being an abhorrent human being, you too can own a weapon that fires teeny tiny nuclear warheads at your opponents. a beefed up version of the Fat Man, the experimental MIRV, can fire not just one, but 8 of these miniature missiles all at once. Like a normal nuke, they explode on impact, doing an immense amount of damage to anyone in the blast radius. Also like a normal nuke, they emit radiation, so even if you manage to escape the initial impact, you're likely to come down with a nasty case of radiation sickness, or an even nastier case of death. Luckily, the experimental MIRV is not infallible and can only fire a total of 63 shots before it breaks. Just don't think too hard about the fact that that's still 504 little nuclear bombs that you've unleashed on an already desolate world, you absolute monster. Number 6, the Needler, Halo series. If we were handing out points for the guns that just looked the most badass, then the Halo series' Needler would 100% be at the top of our list. I mean, just look at the thing. On first inspection, it doesn't look like much, but then all of a sudden,
well, bam! There it is.
Not only is its appearance fear-inducing, but it can do your enemies a heckload of damage. Rather than firing bullets or lasers, instead, the Needler fires sharp crystals that will impale the target like, well, needles. Once embedded in organic tissue, the projectiles will then detonate. Oh, and should several or more crystals strike the target in the same area, they'll react to each other and cause a violent explosion. Although it's a short-range weapon, its ammunition also has homing capabilities, meaning that it's a great little weapon for on the go. Just point it in the general direction of the thing you want to kill and boom, no more bad guys. The Needler's shots can be considered a little on the slower side, but fret not because it can follow enemies for a decent distance, meaning that even if they avoid the shots at first, it'll probably still get them.
Game over.
Number 5, the dubstep gun, Saints Row 4. Here's a question. Why on earth would you ever choose to straight up murder your enemies in a world where you could have them dance themselves to death instead? You know, aside from probably upsetting anyone who's in charge of the Geneva Convention. Indeed, players of 2013's Saints Row 4 can get their hands on a gun that does just that. After completing Keith David's campaign Trail of Destruction, players will be rewarded with a dubstep gun. A ridiculous weapon that looks not unlike a set of DJ decks and will have those around you partying like it's 1999. It may not be the most absurd weapon in a game that features an armchair with mounted miniguns, a gun that sprays aphrodisiacs, and a baseball bat shaped like a Wilson. The dubstep gun does not fire projectiles as such, it instead fires a long-range pulse of energy that not only damages enemies, but also plays loud electronic music and causing them to dance uncontrollably. Different costumes for the gun change the soundtrack, which in turn alter the rate of fire and intensity of its shots. Oh yeah, here we go! Why do my insides hurt so much? Number 4, TN Teddy, Sunset Overdrive. This one's for anyone who's ever wanted to cause large amounts of damage to their foes, but also want to retain a certain air of cuteness. Featured in the splendid yet insane action romp Sunset Overdrive, then TN Teddy is a weapon that's obtained by completing the New Friend mission. Whilst on the hunt for a new propeller for the glider that will hopefully get you the heck out of Dodge, you find not only a shiny new ally in the form of a super geek Sam, but also the TN Teddy. Constructed, somehow, from a fire extinguisher, a bunch of dynamite and a plush toy, the TN Teddy is effectively a grenade launcher that fires the world's most adorable projectiles. Fantastic for swiftly dispatching a large group of enemies, the bears explode upon contact with an enemy, or after a couple of bounces if you don't get a direct hit, dealing massive amounts of damage to anyone or anything in the vicinity. The main advantage of using the TN Teddy is not only that it's hugely destructive, but also that you don't need particularly good aim in order to successfully operate it. Oh, and the gun shouts Teddy, which is just so gosh darn cute. Number 3, the Cerebral Bore, Turok series. Are you in the market for a device that'll put an end to boring staff meetings? Well, look no further than the Cerebral Bore, a gun that physically manifests in its victims the feeling of a meeting that could have been an email. First seen in 1998's Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, the Cerebral Bore is a gun unlike anything else on this list. Instead of firing bullets, it launches a projectile which latches onto the head of its intended target. From there, it drills into the skull, expelling any blood and viscera it might encounter on its journey, and upon reaching the brain, the projectile explodes. As wonderfully violent and gory as the Cerebral Bore may be, however, it's not the most reliable weapon for taking down more mobile enemies, as it requires locking onto a target, and its short range makes sneak attacks quite tricky. If you do manage to land a hit though, the Cerebral Bore is a one-shot kill against most adversaries, and not only that, but it'll probably be the single most gruesome kill you've seen in a video game outside of Mortal Kombat. Oh good, another 2-hour workshop on the importance of post-it note etiquette. Goody. Number 2, Zero Point Energy Field Manipulator, aka the Gravity Gun, Half-Life 2. Wouldn't it be great if you could have a weapon that could not only punt projectiles towards your foes at sickening speed, but also one that's got everyday applications? Well, that's the great thing about the zero-point energy field manipulator, aka the gravity gun from Half-Life 2. The gun's primary fire uses a blast of energy to send objects flying out of your way, which is great for moving heavy objects out of your way or unclogging a sink. Don't quote me on that, I'm not a plumber. Its secondary fire, on the other hand, can pick up smaller objects and hold them in place just ahead of the gun, which means no more doing your back in when you're taking the bins out. Used together, however, the gravity gun's primary and secondary fire can be used to grab hold of a small object and then fire them into the face of your adversaries with a great deal of force. Not only does that mean you basically have unlimited ammunition, as long as you have enough tchotchkes around you, but more or less anything, from kitchen utensils to profane tanks, is suitable for launching at your foes. James, can you just come here a sec? And number 1, Aperture Science handheld portal device, aka the Portal Gun, Portal and Portal 2. It might come as a bit of a shock that the number 1 spot on our list is taken by a weapon that doesn't do any damage to enemies. Not in and of itself anyway, but we can't think of a gun we'd rather own ourselves than the Portal Gun. Introduced in 2007's Portal, the Portal Gun is a device that fires portals. It's easy enough to operate. You simply fire it once where you'd like to enter and a second time at the place you'd like to end up. It's then just a case of taking a step through the hole in space you've created and voila, your destination just becomes so much easier to reach. Forget solving test chambers, just think how much simpler life would be if you only have a few trigger pulls away from anywhere you like. Say goodbye to long arduous commutes to the office, farewell to lengthy jaunts down to the pubs, and hello to be able to grab snacks from the fridge without ever having to get up off the sofa. Ah, bliss.